So this video is going to be a little bit different from a lot of the ones that I usually make. It's going to be more stream of consciousness, and in addition to that, I would usually talk about something like this on a stream of some kind, but I'm making a video out of it, so, just bear with me here. Now, the thesis of this video would be to stop raising wimpy kids, stop raising soft kids, and there's a reason why I feel this way, and I'm gonna explain it all. But what made me want to make this video was a fight video that I saw on Twitter a little bit earlier today. When it comes to street fight videos, I'm not really a big fan of them. I don't watch them for entertainment or anything like that, and I think people who like them probably, they got a screw or two loose. There's something wrong with those kinds of people, but I watch them anyway because fighting is my thing. I need to understand how conflict on the streets will end up working if I'm gonna be a good self-defense instructor. And this video was a perfect example of everything that's wrong with the way that a lot of kids are raised today. Now, it's actually kind of a big video that's going around on racist Twitter, if we're being honest here. I have no opinion on the race or anything of anyone involved. I'm just going to be looking at the facts here. But with that said, there was one kid in the video who was being predatory, and you could see it in the juxtaposition of this one kid and the group of dudes that he was talking to. You could see from his posture, the energy he kind of exuded, the way he presented himself, that he was somebody who was at least vaguely familiar with violence in a real way. He truly understood what violence is, versus the group of kids that he was talking to, who you could just tell from, again, the energy, the posture, just the way they were presenting themselves. They were softies. They were not really familiar with violence. And because of that, when the predator took a swing at one of the kids, all the other kids, to my surprise actually, ended up trying to swarm the predator. And the predator still was able to win the fight, specifically because he picked on some small victims. There's a quote by Big Pun. He calls them gargamels. He said that picking on the smallest victim gives him heart to kill. That seems to be the situation here in this video. Now, there's some people out there who wrongly believe that you're either a predator or prey. That's really because there's a lot of people out there who cannot be strong. They cannot be strong people. And if you can't be strong, then the next best thing you can be is a predator, because at the very least, maybe you'll be able to convince some idiots that you are actually strong. If you're an idiot or a racist, you watched that video and you thought, oh wow, that dude, that guy that Scott is calling a predator right now, he is actually like really strong, and he's virile, he's manly and stuff like that, when in reality he's not. Like I said, he's a predator. Bottom line, that's what he is. If you notice predators in the wild, they don't really pick on things that are their own size or bigger. They only pick on prey, herbivores, the things that can't really fight. And even then, they go a step deeper and they pick on the sick ones, the old ones, the injured ones, and things like that. I know looks can be deceiving and sometimes you're wrong about things, but I guarantee you, if those kids even looked a little bit like they were more trouble than they were worth, there would have been no issue that day, regardless of what went down. That kid would have never approached, he would have never even looked in their direction. And this is exactly why you need to stop raising dweebs. What tends to happen, especially in female-dominated households, I've noticed. I'm not trying to say it's all women or anything like that. I've just noticed that in female-dominated households, you especially see this sort of thing. Kids from a young age are basically taught to be sheep. And I don't mean sheeple. I mean they are taught to be as meek as sheep, completely and totally helpless in the face of any kind of physical aggression or danger that is thrown their way. What it really comes down to, in my opinion, is that there's a lot of parents out there, specifically mothers, who they don't care as much about their kids as they might believe. What they really care about is getting what they want out of their kids, or getting their kids to do what they want. Their child is less of a human that they have to bring up and more of a fashion statement, like an accessory, or maybe a dog, like one of those small chihuahuas that you used to see Paris Hilton carrying around in her bag. These are the kinds of households that frown upon any and all forms of violence, including justified violence in the pursuit of self-preservation or protection. And this is why I say they don't care about their kids, because if they did, they wouldn't want their kid to get beat up and hurt and disrespected all the time. They would want their kid to fight back against that. But instead, all they do is say, no, run and get a teacher, run and do this, run away from all your problems, find somebody who cares. And spoiler alert, Nobody cares. If you go to a teacher, they're going to find a way to sweep it under the rug. If you go to a cop, they're going to find a way to not have to do anything about it. That's just the kind of thing that happens in these situations. The fact is, the best thing you could do is slowly and lovingly remove the bits of innocence that you are allowed to remove in a controlled manner so that they don't hold on to their innocence for a lot longer than they should, and they end up having it ripped away by a predator. Every tribe, every civilization has had something like this. That's what those rites of passages were for, and that's why they took place when kids were like 13, 14 years old. Raising a dweeb is one of the worst things you can do. It's one thing if your kid likes nerdy things, you know, like D&D. I used to play D&D years ago. I love video games. I'm not a reader, but I do like things that a lot of people would consider to be a little bit nerdy, right? But that doesn't mean that I'm a dweeb. At least I hope not. You guys think I'm a dweeb? It's your job as a parent to prepare your child for the world. That doesn't just mean giving them clothing and food, as a lot of parents tend to think that is. That's sustaining a child. You have to raise a child, and part of that is making sure that they don't grow up with an unrealistic expectation of how things go, or just a maladaptive pattern of behavior and other things. You're making your child into a doormat because you want something out of them. And it really pisses me off because I gotta be honest with you, I was kind of raised to be a dweeb myself. For the first 22, maybe 23 years of my life, I was in a really bad spot. And it's not like one day I decided to flip a switch and everything was all better. It was a long process that took years for me to kind of undo all of the damage that was done to me by my upbringing. And one of the worst things about trying to correct that issue is that you're not just going to slowly get better. You're going to get a lot worse before you start to get better. It's just kind of the way that I've noticed things go. You're going to go from not being able to stand up for yourself, kind of being a doormat, not really understanding how the world works, to absolutely flipping out at people for no reason and not being able to stay calm and getting fired from jobs and losing friendships and things like that because you perceive some kind of disrespect, and your idea of trying to fix the problem is overcorrection. This is, in my opinion, one of the big plagues of modernity, and you don't really see many people talk about it on the level that I am right now. And maybe I'm just a weirdo. Maybe I'm just, there's something up with me, but I do think there's merit to what I'm saying right now. And of course, the way you raise your son into a well-adjusted adult might be a little bit different for everybody, but I do think martial arts is a really good way to do that. And in addition to that, you also have to be, you know, a little bit tough on your son. I'm not saying cruel. Don't be cruel to your son, specifically your son, but you gotta give him a shove in the direction that he needs to be going in. Once you see that weird dweeb behavior, you gotta kind of nip that in the bud to the best of your ability, because if you don't, you're gonna end up with a son who has a fursuit or something else, some other weird stuff. I also want to make sure that I say I'm not telling anyone to raise their son into a predator or anything like that, but they should be the kind of person that a predator does not want to mess with, or that when a predator comes around and messes with somebody, they can step in and put a stop to it. You don't want your son to be a sheep, you don't want him to be a wolf, you want him to be a sheepdog. And I know that sounds like some kind of weird Black Rifle Coffee Punisher skull on my AR guy thing to say. I know, it borderline cringe, but it's a very good way to remember that that's what you're trying to do here. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and sub for more. If you have anything to say, leave a comment down below. And if you have any questions for me, hit me up on Instagram at ScottSullivanMMA. I like to make question and answer videos. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, good luck out there.